Kindly mute from your end. Great. So a good number is here, and it's already 12:02. So I want to start this session. And today's topic of discussion is role of sensory play in our classroom. I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is something which we are going to discuss today. The topics which I shall be covering today is the theories behind sensory play, approaches related to sensory play, the benefits of sensory play, and one question is coming in the mind, is messy play and sensory play is same or not? And but of course, last but not the least, the ideas to create your own sensory cards. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss today, and make it a collaborative session. If you have any doubts, you can type in the chat box and I'll give you the answers for that. Okay. So this is the very first slide in front of me. Here I can see sensory play as sand play. So few skills also I've written, below each and every tagline. These are the skills that is digging, building, and feeling. They are being enhanced here in this sensory play. So here I can see a beautiful picture where children are enjoying a collaborative play. This is always we feel it is difficult to make the children to be in the collaborative platform. Kind of in your end. So it is difficult for us to children to come on a single platform and enjoy such plays. But here I can see when they are indulged in a program where you are inculcating different skills in them, definitely they do a collaborative learning. Let's move on to the next one. Very interesting here. I can again see number of children, they are doing fine motor skill. If I say sensory motor, or you can say a sensory play is actually a fine motor play, then I'm not wrong in that. Yes, of course, we are doing here fine motor skill, but that is the part of a sensory play only. Here, children are exploring material, children are doing scooping, touching, feeling, although you have given number of attributes to them, but they are doing a collaborative play. Now, let me move on to the next one. Very interesting. Again, I can see this sensory play as water play. If I say sensory play as water play, here pouring, splashing, and exploring. These are the few skills which I have written here. But you can see when you give such experience or hands-on learning to the children, they'll do number of things with the same attribute. Here, I can see one whipper also, one scoop as well. So they do the shaking, they'll do scooping, and they are touching those water balls from their hand, and they are doing the bursting also. So number of skills will get developed with the same attribute. Let me move on to the next one. Very interesting. Now, sensory play is going on as a clay play. If I say clay play is a sensory play, then again, I'm not wrong. Here, children are doing exploring. Let me enter everyone into the classroom. Few more members are there. Great. Okay, so here I can see exploring. Visual learning. We all know VAC model. If you do not know, please interrupt me or please give me a hands-on. I will definitely clear that as well. Exploring, visual learning, and one more is here, that is non-directive learning. So I hope you are aware of non-directive learning. If you're not, then I must say that non-directive learning is the learning where you are not giving any direction to the children. That is actually a part of a free play. Let them explore, let them understand what they have to do with the material which you are going to give to the children. So here, yes, definitely sensory play is directive and non-directive both ways. Let me show you the next one. Again, I can see. Kindly mute yourself. Again, I can see here sensory play is going on in a form of a sorting. Again, very interesting. Visual and kinesthetic experiences both are going hand in hand in this picture. I can see a tub, or you can say two tubs are there. Number of children are there. They are provided with different tubs. They are provided with different attributes, different colors, and they are doing touching, scooping. Besides that, they are doing visual learning because they are separating the attributes, and though they are doing from their hands, so kinesthetic learning or experience is also going on in the same activity. So we as educators, as early years trainers or learners or educators, we can inculcate such things in our classroom to make the learning wide for the children. Let me move on to the next one. Very interesting. Now, this is something which is important for the primary teachers as well. Here, language developments is going on. If I say language development, then definitely you move towards the subject side. If I say literacy, numeracy, or else Hindi, then in that case, I can use different sensory plays to make my lesson plan more interesting, inculcating sensory play in that. Such pop-up toys are easily available in the market. And using these pop-up toys, see, I have literacy cards also, I have numeracy cards also, I have few dice also on the screen. So by using such different attributes, you can make your language development easy and, lesson out of the box oriented. Make it easy for them, make it interesting for them. The moment you will keep number of attributes on the table for the children, definitely that learning outcome will be out of the box. They'll, learn out of the box. It means they are learning above that, learning objective. Very interesting. Now, here is the next one where I can see sensory play is going on as a messy play. Messy play is nothing but it's a hand-on experience. Hands-on experience make children kinesthetic learners. If I say any child is a kinesthetic learner, it means that child has done maximum messy play. And we as teachers should inculcate one session at least in a week for messy play because it is non-directive. Every time giving instructions, every time giving directions is not the frame of an early years educator. We educators also think from the mindset of the child. The child is thinking in a very different manner as the teacher is thinking. But as an early year educator, we should keep ourselves in the frame of the child because they really need hands-on learning, messy play. Now, one situation happens in which a teacher is doing the messy play, and when it gets turned to the child, the teacher is showing This is how you have to do. That's it. And what about the experience of the child? The child also should get the same experience which, the teacher has shown. For example, in Italy, there is a festival which is called Tomatina Festival. In Tomatina Festival, they do splashing of tomatoes. They do squeezing of tomatoes. So that is nothing, but it is a messy play. And that is meant for all the ages. So here, we as early years educator should understand the need of this, messy play in our life. We all like to do something which is not actually encouraged by everyone. We as teachers are here to nurture the potential of the child. So we have to, encourage the children. We have to give support to the children. And we should also think in the frame where the child is thinking. Let me move on to the next one. Very interesting. Now, this is something which we are going to discuss. Before that, I've shown you a few clips which are related to sensory play and, the different, what you can say, the attributes which are related to it. So here, today, we are going to have a look on the theories, right? Sensory play is a very simple word called play, sensory play, very simple. Teacher feel like, okay, sensory play will do with the help of cards, that's it. Now, what is the outcome of it? Very interesting. Whatever we are doing, we should have a proper objective for that. And we should need to work on that proper objective. Here, number of theories are there in front of you. First of all, I would like to put some light on constructivist theory. Constructivist theory, as from the word only, it is something to construct, to make something. Now, what is that making? That is understanding of the world through interactions with their environment. The very first slide which I had shown to you was of constructivist theory, where the children were, doing that sand play, using their kit, understanding the world, understanding what is castle, what is sand, and the surrounding, playing on the beach, like say. So that is what the constructivist theory working on in that situation. So constructivist theory can be applicable to number of, activities. Here we are just putting, sensory play in mind. Let me, allow the members to enter into the room. Okay. Yes. So the next one is perceptual development theory. Perceptual development theory is, I request all the members to kindly mute so that I shall be audible to them. Perceptual development theory, as from the word perception. Now, what is perception? Perception is my own thinking. That is my own point of view. So that perceptual development theory is actually inherent and it is developing naturally over the time. I'm not inculcating anything. It is actually developing over the period of time. So this theory is also visible in the children, or you can say in the play when they are in their primary years. Next is very interesting self-regulation theory. If I say self-regulation, it means what? It is a skill in which I am, managing my own emotions, my behavior, my attention. So when the child grows up and reach to, the primary years and then the elementary years, because this session is designed for each and every teacher. So here this self-regulation theory is actually working for the higher grades, where you as a teacher or mentor, you are providing the opportunities to the children to manage their own emotions, behavior, and attention. Because we as educators, as teachers, we manage number of children with different tempo. We have children like 5 fingers in our classroom. So we manage all of them on the basis of their behavior. Here we are discussing this only, that how different kind of activities, plays, how they are giving the opportunities to the children to manage their own emotions, behavior, and attention in the classroom. Self-regulation is not forceful, very simple. You cannot force the child for a particular emotion, behavior, and attention. In that case, what you have to do, you have to create opportunities. I've already written a word, opportunities. Provide opportunities, give turns, taking turns, circle time, number of activities in which self-regulation theory is applicable. When you are giving one-to-one interaction to each and every child in your base group sessions, definitely you will get that behavior, you will get that attention which you are looking forward in your classroom. But it is possible only when you are designing your session as per the need of each and every child in your classroom, in a nutshell, in one frame. If I have 20 children in my classroom, if I have 30 in my classroom, I have to design one which should meet the criteria of all of them in a single frame. Definitely, it is difficult for a teacher. That is why we inculcate differential learning in the classroom. I hope you are aware of the word differential learning. If not, then it is doing the same thing, doing the same topic in different manners in a group of 4. Very simple. If you are giving the same topic to group 4 children, again group 4, next group 4, and next group 4, but with different attributes, learning outcome should be same, is called differential learning. So here your problem is sorted, that how I can design one single activity for all the 30 children in a single frame. How is it possible? Yes, differential learning is the way which makes it possible. That is why we inculcate such learning modules in our classroom to make it more efficient, child-oriented, and fruitful too. Last but not the least, very interesting is the sensory motor theory. This is the theory which is actually meant for the foundation year. So for every theory, I've given you the age group. Dear teachers, my area of focus is that each and every theory should be implemented by a particular teacher working in that frame. If you are a primary teacher, which theory you should need to work on, and if you are a foundation year teacher, which theory you need to work on. Sensory motor theory is the theory in which children learn is through their own senses. Now, this is something which is like, okay, it is in our thematic learning also, that we have theme-based learning, and in that we introduce one theme of 5 senses also. So this is for the very little ones, the toddler ones, that yes, they learn through their own senses. I hope the theories are clear to the teachers, because the main part of this session is working on these theories and the approach. I believe it is clear to you, teachers. Okay, let me move on to the next one. Very interesting. Okay, now this is the approach. Now, what is behind this whole star is that, as you can see, sensory is at the bottom. And it is the, you know, the broadest one, the biggest one, big block, sensory block. And today's discussion topic is the same only, sensory play. So this sensory block is actually, you know, producing the motor skills, definitely. So sensory block is necessary for inculcating, or you can say for accomplishing the motor skills. Motor skills are somewhere making the child social. Very interesting. If they are doing motor skills, they are somewhere, become social by the help of this. And then approach is saying the most important thing is socialism of the child, sensory, motor, social block. Social block at the end is, making the all-round behavior of the child. Very interesting. So here I can see if you are inculcating sensory skills in the child, definitely it will produce motor skills. After motor skills, it is promoting social skills. After social skills, it is promoting a good behavior of the child. So the approach is very essential behind each and every, theme, whatever the play which you are doing in your classroom, it should have an approach. Now, we are discussing so many things that, different theories, approaches, etc., etc. But in simple term, what I should mean by this sensory? Very simple word. And I hope all of you might know this, but still, it is like we should, talk about this as well. If the session get, disrupted or get ended in between, kindly rejoin it. Okay. So relating to sensation or the physical senses transmitted or perceived by the sense. So these are the different 5 senses which we basically teach children or make them understand or make them learn, whatever the term you use in your classroom. So sensory is somewhere, revolving around it. Now let's see what is coming up next. Now this is the sensory language. Now in this sensory language, VAC model is working out here. I hope you are aware of VAC model, that is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. VAC model says we do learning by eyes, we do learning by ears, and we do learning by hands-on experience. So where goes this nasal part and the taste buds part? Yes, definitely, it will also come up. In my incoming slides, I will show you one research also, which shows how this sensory language goes on in the classroom. Okay, now, as you can see on the screen, there is, one child, okay, not too much, like say, into years. So here this child is, provided with and is playing with those attributes. So here, if I say the child is using his or her senses to explore and learn, is the main key of sensory play, that ability comes naturally since birth. So again, teachers, it is a very good point for all of us that this is something which I am not inculcating anywhere, right? I am just, making the children to understand. I'm just making the children, explore different skills, but I am not the one who is creating that ability into the children, because it is coming naturally since birth. This is the question which might come in our mind. We have special kids in our classroom sometimes. So in that case, we should be clear with this thought that sensory play, the main key of it is like exploring, but it is coming naturally since. Let me go to the next one. Here I can see children engage in sensory experiences with their peers. They practice having conversations, taking turns, expressing themselves, and exchanging information. So here, very interesting in these 5 lines, I can see conversations. I can see taking turns. I can see expressing themselves. And I can see exchanging information. And this whole process is nothing but communication. So if I say communication is inculcated in the children by the help of such sensory play, then I'm not wrong in that, isn't it? So make the children engage in different sensory experiences individually and with the pair both. Because when they enjoy that sensory play, they talk in their own language. They do conversation, which will enhance the speaking skills of the child. Taking turns, it means they will do collaborative learning. Expressing themselves, they will use new vocabulary words, which we as teachers really want our children to do so, and exchanging the information, which is in a nutshell called communication. So here in this, slide, I'm making this thing very clear that yes, it is not actually only for the foundation years, it is for the all-round contour development of the child, taking sensory at the lowermost and the foundation level, then inculcating those skills, getting, reaching to the next level, that is fine motor, and then social, and ultimately making a behavior of the child. Now, we are talking about this. Kindly mute yourself. We are talking about this sensory play again and again, and putting light on each and every point. Here, now I'm reaching to the mid of the session where I will tell you the connection with the brain development. Benefits of sensory play, building connection that guide the brain development. Again, a small term, just sensory play, and how it is making the brain of the child get developed is again a question which will be, clear to you in the upcoming slides. Helping the children brain be stimulated by sending the signals to help strengthen their brain's neural pathway. It is very much on the science side now. I hope science teacher understand it in a better way. And for those who are not from that background, I'll make you clear in a very simple language in my upcoming slide. Helps develop and enhance child's cognitive, social, emotional, physical, and language development. Already shown you in my previous cards that how you inculcate sensory play, a small term, in different areas to make the development of the child better. Now, this is very simple. Again, it is a neurological development which is being done by the sensory play. Here I can see one neuron. In simple words, neuron is nothing but it is a nerve cell or a brain cell. Our body is made up of cells only. Cell is the building block of our body, if I say a very small unit which makes our whole body, that is called cell. And if I say brain cell, that is called neuron. Very simple. Now here I can see neuron. This neuron is doing something out here. What this neuron is doing? This neuron is having axon terminals, as you can see here. It is a complete web. This axon terminal is actually transmitting a signal. A signal is being transmitted from here. If a child is doing any kind of activity, here we are talking about sensory play, okay? If a child is doing sensory play, this axon terminal will do what? Will transmit a signal. Very simple. Where this signal goes to the target cell. Now this axon is now processing. Now this is axon and this is axon terminal. From this pathway, can you see this pathway? Very simple. From this pathway, this signal is reaching here to this axon. Now here processing is going on. What is transmitted will process at this place. After processing, these dendrites, again a web, these dendrites will receive the signal. After receiving the signal, the child will experience what he is doing. So yes, sensory play, in a nutshell, I can say, is responsible for the neurological development of the child. If I say I will inculcate it, it is very difficult, as I